Hey guys, this is Vinay from excelchamp.net. Today I want to share with you some of my all-time favorite Excel tips and tricks with you. I have selected my top 25 tips that I use most of the time, and I find them extremely useful. I hope you will also like them and you will be able to gain much out of Excel with these simple tips that will improve your productivity and make you awesome in Excel. And to get started, I have prepared an Excel file with some sample data. You can download the description below in this video if you want to follow along. But if you find the speed a bit fast for you, then simply watch the video first and then you can play it a second time. And then do the exercises along with me step by step. This way, you will be able to get the most value from these tips and tricks because we learn the best when we try it out ourselves. So I encourage you to try it out a second time with the exercise files, and now let's get started. So my very first tip is how to use the relative and absolute referencing. So in this case, we have sales rep, products, sales amount, and the cost. To calculate the profit, we can simply click in here and write a simple formula starting with equal to sales amount minus the cost. Press enter and we get the profit. No big deal here. I'm sure you know this. And then how do you drag this down to copy to the other cells? So most people, they know that we can drag this down like this. But there's another shortcut, and that is to simply come in here, and when you see this big plus on the bottom right hand corner, simply double click. It will quickly copy down all the values, and this is way much faster than dragging it down. Because if you have 5 or 10 values, you can drag it. But if you have 10,000 or 100,000 values, then dragging can really be a drag, and double click is so much faster. So this is the first thing, and next we are going to see how to calculate the commission. As you can see, we pay our salespeople 10% commission. So this commission is given on the sales amount. So of course we can simply calculate equal to sales amount multiply by, and since this rate is fixed, we will just use this cell and press enter. So we get $580, which is correct. And as usual, we will double click or drag down. Since we just learned the double click, I'll double click. And we see strange result. There's no commission for Mickey, and there's a strange value error for Spidey, and the rest of the staff are getting huge millions of dollars in commission. I'm sure if we continue like this, our company will soon go bankrupt. So what exactly went wrong here? So let's check it out. When we copied the formula, it seemed correct, but when we copy down, do you notice that C4 became C5, and similarly now C5 became C6. As the cells move down, the commission also changes from C1 to C2, C3. Since here we are multiplying the amount with a text heading, we get a value error. And in this case, we are multiplying the sales of two different numbers, not the 10% commission. So the issue we can easily fix by fixing the value for the commission to be always 10% by changing this formula to the absolute reference. How do we do that? Is when we multiply, we press the F4 key and the reference changes to the $C $1. When we apply the dollar sign, the column C is fixed and $1 means the row 1 is fixed. So with this, if we were to double click now, everybody gets the correct commission. As you can see, the highlighted cells are correctly coming. So this type of referencing is called absolute referencing. and the shortcut key to use this is the F4 key on your keyboard. If you're using a laptop, the F4 key may be combined with the brightness or the mic or some other key. So if you press F4 and your brightness changes or the computer goes to sleep, that means you might have to press the function key and the F4 key together. This is nothing to do with Excel. It's a laptop keyboard issue, because on a laptop there are lesser keys and so some of the keys are shared. So just see how your F4 works. Does it work directly or with the function key combination? Moving on to our second sheet, range names, we will see how we can write a simpler formula by using range names rather than absoluting the formula and always have to keep changing from F4 and picking the correct absolute formula. So there is a very simple method. What we can do is, these are all the sales amount. So we can select all the values and we can give it a name called sales amount. So all we need to do is to go to formula and we can then define a name. You can see automatically it picks up sales amount and the data is already absolute, $C, $4 to $C, $9. Similarly, we can select these and create a name for it, and this will be called cost automatically. So this name is automatically picked up by Excel from its intelligence. Since now we are going to calculate the profit, all we need to do is to choose sales amount. We can double click minus the cost and done. So now you can see here, in this case, the profit was easily calculated just like previous, and similarly we are going to create a name for our commission rate. So we can come in here, define name, and it's called commission rate, which is fine. So now we can easily calculate our commission by writing equals to sales amount multiplied by commission rate. And you can see the values are highlighted and everybody gets the correct commission. Plus the formula is so easy to read. Every time you see the formula, it's sales amount multiplied by commission rate, rather than the previous method where the formula was something like C9 multiplied by $C, $1. So these formulas are difficult to understand, especially if you're working on a large worksheet. And in this case, when we use range names, the formulas become way much more simpler. So you should create range names for all your calculations and you will find it much easier. Next, trick number 3, we are going to our third sheet, if SUMIF, and here we are going to see the salespeople, their sales amount and the target given by the management. So we can see that for Bond, in selling the diaries, they only sold 5,800 and did not meet the target set for the quarter. So we need to see who are the people who achieved the goal and who didn't. Looks like Mickey did achieve the target, and some of the people did achieve, some haven't achieved it. So to calculate this, we will write a simple if formula, equal to if, open bracket, and here we are going to write the condition. So for example, if the sales amount is greater than or equal to the target, that means you have met your target, in which case the goal is achieved. Otherwise, the goal is not achieved. So these are only two possible conditions. Either you will achieve your goal or you will not achieve your goal. And we are just merely checking if the sales amount is greater than or equal to the target. If it is, then you have achieved the goal. If not, you have not achieved the goal. Pressing enter, we can see that Bond did not achieve the goal. We double click here and copy down, and you can easily see a few people did not achieve the goal and some did. So this if condition is a very good way to quickly make a decision and decide between pass, fail, or achieved or not achieved kind of situation when there are two outcomes. The if condition can be further extended if you have more than two outcomes also, but that is slightly more complex. You need to write nested if. So I will show it to you in another video. Next, we want to see the total amount of diaries sold. So we don't want the grand total of all the values. I'm sure you know how to do that. What we are looking for is only the total amount of diaries. So this is a diary, and then here's another diary, and there's another diary. So we need to add only these three numbers. But this is a manual method of adding by hand. Instead, we want to write a formula. So the logic is that we want to sum the amount only if the product is a diary. So we will write sum if, and then we will write down the criteria is, first of all, we need to check if this range is equal to diaries. If these two are matching, then we would like to total up the corresponding sales amount. By doing this, you can see we got 16,700, which is exactly the total for diaries, diaries, and diaries. When I only selected the diaries, we can see at the bottom the total amount is 16,700. So this is a simple sum if, which is only going to sum if the condition is met. Our fifth trick is to count how many sales rep have sold diaries. So at the moment we know that these are the three people who have sold diaries, but we don't want to count manually. Instead, we want to count by using a simple formula. So we are going to count only if the product is a diary. Count if the product is diaries. That's all. When you do this, we get to see that three of the salespeople have sold diaries. So we have seen the first 5 tricks, and our number 6 trick is to how to use a table. So table has been around in Excel for the last 15 over years, but still many people don't use tables. Tables make it extremely easy to work with the data. So here we have a small piece of data, and all I will do is to go to home and say format as table. We can pick up any color is not important, and simply click OK. So you can see that Excel automatically grabs the data even though I did not select it, and my table has headers. This also is correct, so I will leave it checked on, click OK, and I get a nice looking table. Well, sometimes people think this is just a simple eye candy, just the data looks slightly better, but we get many things for free simply by converting the data to a table. For example, when we are in the table now, you will see there is a new menu item called Table Design that appears. So if we need totals, we can simply check the total row, and now we get a total row at the bottom. And for any amount, if you click inside the total row, if you click, we can get the sum, and we got the total here. We can choose the sum here as well, and we got the total as well. Now, in this case, I would like to find out how many products we sold. So I'll choose from here the count. By doing this, we know that there are 6 sales reps who have sold $33,000 worth of goods. Now, to calculate the profit, we are going to do as usual. And as you know, we have not created any range names, but here, because we converted the data to a table, we got free range names created by Excel. So these are special range names. I just need to do a sales amount minus the cost, press enter, and we get all the profit calculated. So here we did not have to bother about creating range names. We got range names for free. Similarly, of course, we will have to create a range name for this commission rate, and we can create it commission. Okay, and now we can say equals to sales amount multiplied by commission. So when we do that, we are able to also calculate it for all of them, and here we can change this to a sum, and it immediately changes. If you would like to take all this data and add a nice comma formatting, you can do that, and if you don't want the decimal, we can get rid of the decimal as well. As you can see, tables pack in a lot of features, and the entire table design is full of features that we can tweak in. We can change the color and design as well. Instead of looking at the total sales, tip number 7 is to look at the median sales. So we can also use functions that are not available here. Now for statistical analysis, I rather look at the median sales, and so I can pick up more functions, pick median from here and click OK. So as you know, median is the middle number, and this will tell us not the average but the median sales. So this is a way much better algorithm, and I use it all the time. So I'm sure you will find it useful as well. Moving on, tip number 8. We will go to the country data type sheet. As you can see, we have a few countries here, and I'm going to add one or two more countries here. So let's say I add here United States, enter. So as you can see, Microsoft Excel can automatically detect that these are countries, and it is asking you, would you like to convert this to a country and region? So this is a great option. If you simply click on it, now Excel is going to convert this into geographical data. Now you may be thinking, what is the benefit? So let me show you. Now if we want to find out what's the capital of these countries, all we need to do is to click on the insert. We can pick up the capital of country, capital city. So I pick up capital city, and we can double click. So you can see that Tokyo is the capital for Japan and London is the capital for United Kingdom. Similarly, I'd like to find the gross domestic produce, the GDP. So again, I will click plus, and we will search for the GDP, and that's it. This is the latest data for this year. Next year, the amount will change automatically. So this is the GDP of each country. Similarly, if you want to find out the population, all we need to do is to look for population, and you can see there's lots and lots of values available here. These are all the vital statistics of the country, and per city you can also find it out. So this is a great feature, and now you know we have collected all this data. It's the latest data that is updated by the different countries, and we didn't have to do anything in terms of research. Excel has found the most updated data for us. So this is a great option, and do use it. Next, our tip number 9. I'm going to show you multiple ways to combine the data. So quite often when I receive data from ERP systems, the data could be separated in different values, like in a comma separated CSV files. If the first name and the last name is separate, I can easily combine it in the full name. So there's a function called concatenate, and it's been replaced by a newer function which I'll show you. It's called concat as well. So we can just take concatenate, and then I want to put a space in between. So the space is a character, we put it in double quotes, and then the last name. So done. We are able to combine, double click, and as you can see, everybody's name has been combined. There's another way. We could have used the newer function called concat, and concat works exactly in the same way. We need to pick James, then we need to take the space and Bond, enter James Bond, and copy down. So concatenate or concat, they both work exactly the same. Concat is a less number of characters to type, and that's the newer function. There's a third method that is even easier and does not need any function. I use it all the time. All I'll do is I'll click on the cell and put a space in between and use the ampersand to combine the James and the Bond together, and done. That's it. So as you can see, this formula compared to this is such a long one, this looks way much simpler. So this is our tip number 9. I've shown you 3 different ways to combine the data. Let me show you my 10th trick, which is another way to combine the name. So here I will show you flash filled name. So in this case, I am not going to use any formula at all. I'll just tell Excel the name by example. Like the name should be James Bond, and I press enter. So next, if I go in to write M, you notice Excel automatically figures out the pattern and it suggests to you that is this the name you're looking for? The next one will be Spider-Man, Indiana Jones, Charlie Chaplin. This looks great to me, so I'll simply press enter, and all the names have been accepted without me writing a single formula. All I had to do was to write the first name by giving an example and starting my second name. That's it. So this was our trick number 10. It's called flash fill. Moving on to some date magic. Trick number 11 is to show you how to work with dates. So here I'd like to show you how to find out today's date. So today's date is a simple formula called equal to today. This is the empty function. Simply open and close the bracket and enter, and we will get today's date. Today is the 1st of February 2022. If you want the date with time, then instead of writing today, we can write now. Open, close, and that's it. Now, if the cell is short, is the small, then we can expand it, and you will be able to see the date as well as the time. So this is how to use the dates. And now I'll show you a simple function how to calculate the age of all these salespeople. So the age is taking today's date and subtracting the date of birth. So we can easily do that by taking the today's date and absolute it, since when we copy down it will move also, and minus the date of birth. Pressing enter, you can see the age. Well, James Bond is not alive for 16,000 years. This is simply in days. 16,000 days. So, of course, this is days, but we don't want days. We want the age in years. So, this is age in days. But we are looking for the age in years. So, of course, we can divide by 365, and we can just say take this date divide by 365. This is one way of calculating the age in years, and I mean it works great, but there's another way that we can also use. So I'll show you this, is to use a convert function, and this function will convert the days into years. So we just choose the value and say that these are days. So this value is available, you can see here day, and we want to convert it into the year. And as you can see, we got a precise exact value, more accurate than dividing by 365. Now if you don't want so many decimals, we can simply decrease the decimals, and as you can see, we got a pretty accurate data, and if you remove it, it will be more better compared to this division. I'll leave one decimal to get a pretty accurate value. So this was the convert function, and convert function can also be used for many other conversions. So my trick number 13 is to show you another method of convert, and that is we are going to convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So convert, we take the temperature and we simply look for the value which is in centigrade. So you can easily check this down. There are hundreds and hundreds of settings. We need to look for the centigrade and converted it to Fahrenheit. You can also convert it to Kelvin. Yeah, that's it. Centigrade to Fahrenheit, and you can do vice versa as well. So now as you can see, Dubai is 96.8 and New York is 41. So this is temperature in Fahrenheit and this is temperature in Celsius. Moving on, tip number 14 is to quickly show you how to work with pivot tables. So I have a whole set of videos on pivot tables which I will leave a link, but let me quickly show you how to use pivot tables to quickly summarize the data. So all we need to do is to create an insert pivot table and click OK. Pivot table by default goes to a new worksheet, and we can easily choose the category, we can choose the item, and we can choose the total amount. So pretty fast we are able to see this, and if you'd like to analyze this by date, we can do so, and you can see we have 2023 and 2024 data available. If we open it, it will automatically expand into 4 quarters, and if you further click it, it will open into the April, May, June. So all this automatic grouping is done by the pivot table, and we can also filter the data for a particular region. So we can choose Southeast, do that. And if you don't want so much detail, of course we can remove the item at any time. And anytime if you want to analyze this data, we can also create a pivot chart. So that's our tip number 15. Always analyze the data on a pivot chart. So pivot chart you can directly create from here, click OK, and now you can see the data in a chart. So this is a great way to visualize. The interesting thing is that as you change the data in the pivot table, the chart would change automatically. So for example, I remove the years, so we are only looking at the category. And if we remove the category and bring in the region in here, and let us say, so all the regions and the charts have changed automatically. So this is a great way to analyze the data. As you can see, we had thousands of rows and they were easily converted into a pivot really effectively, very, very fast. So all this data that was over 380 rows was converted into a simple summary that we can easily consume. You can move things around and analyze it to your heart's content. So we can look at it and see which items are selling in which regions and how's the sale. The charts are updated in real time. tip number 16, looking at some printing options. So here we have this data that I'd like to print, and it looks great. Let me do a file print. And as you can see, we have only gotten a few columns. All the other columns could not fit on this page. And so when you go down, you realize this kind of printout, this is really like wasting paper, because we don't know which page is it. We don't know which region, what is the heading. There's nothing to help us make sense of this data. So if this was printed, this will be really wasted paper. So to make it count, I simply make a simple few changes. We will do some page layout, and we can say that fit the data to one page, and this way the width will be one page, the height can be automatic. I can change the orientation to landscape, and now let us have a look at it. So when we do a file print, you can see that it's fitting well. The dates are coming, and now we can print it out. But you notice the heading is not there. The heading is not coming, so let us fix this. So on the page setup arrow here, we can simply go to the sheet, the last one, and say rows to repeat at the top is 1. And similarly, if you want a particular column or 2 columns to be repeated also, you can do that, but we don't need that because we are only fitting to a single page. Click OK, and now the output will look better. We can do a file print, and as you can see, as we move on to the different pages, the heading is there, but the lines are not there. So we can make a minor change. We can also go to sheet and say grid lines, and we can also set up a header and a footer so that a page number gets printed. So we can print page 1 of 1, and similarly in the header we can write some heading. Now if you click OK and do a print preview, file print, you'll see that the heading gets printed, the page number gets printed, the grid lines get printed, the heading is getting repeated, and even if the paper was mixed up in the printer, you could easily put it together because the page numbers are there. So this was some quick and dirty file printing techniques. I'll also show you when you move down on this kind of data, we lose the heading. So I have no clue whether this is the quantity or this is the quantity or this column is the quantity. Well, we could have gotten to our view and said that we would like to freeze the top row. So now as you scroll, the top row stays there, and similarly if you want, we can also freeze the first column. So if we were to scroll to the right, the first column will always stay there. Now another way you could have done is, let me unfreeze the panes, is I can any place do a split, and by doing this I can see the top few rows and I can see the bottom few rows. So this can be a good way to compare 2023 versus 2024 data. And so I can see the top few rows and the bottom few rows, and whenever you don't want it, you can simply click on the split again and the split will be removed. So this was my tip number 17. Moving on to my tip number 18, ideas. Now this huge amount of data, really I have no clue how to make sense of it. So what I can do is I can take Excel's help and say, can you help me to analyze this data? So I'll go to Home, and as you can see, the last tab is Analyze Data. I simply click on it, and Excel is going to take a few moments and analyze this data. After analyzing, Excel has told us that there are 5 outliers in the data, that our sales rep Herman has noticeably high total, and it has also found out that accessories and tents have a higher quantity compared to sleeping bags and backpacks. If I like this analysis, I can simply click on the Insert Pivot Chart, and this will create a Suggestion 1 new worksheet with the pivot table and the pivot chart auto created for me. So there are different ways to visualize, and you can pick up different kinds of charts and always keep on inserting them. So we got a second chart inserted, and you can now analyze the data in this way by using the auto suggestions. So this is a great way, and I always use it whenever I get a new set of data. Moving on, I want to show you how easy it is to find your data, especially when we have too many worksheets. So what I normally do is when I go to a new worksheet, let's say I wanted to create a quick jump points like a table of contents. So I can write here that my pivot table, and this is my printing sheet, this is my ideas sheet. So what we normally do is simply click on it, right click, choose the link, and say place in this document. So the pivot table will go to the pivot worksheet, and printing, right click, link will go to the printing worksheet, and click OK. Now these are going to be my quick jump points. Whenever I want to go to the pivot table, I simply click here, and it quickly takes me to the pivot table worksheet. So this is a simple trick that you should always be using. So tip number 20 was to how to link to the other worksheets. Some of the other things I'd like to do is to color the worksheets. This is a pretty good idea. So for example, tab color, we choose orange. For prints, right click, tab color, I choose green, and you can pick almost any color. So there are quite a lot of colors, and if you're not happy, you can click more colors, and really the entire rainbow is yours. You can pick any color, and now once you move out, you can see that there are different sheets with different colors, making it easy for them to stand out, and you can remember that pivot was the orange one or ideas was the pink one. Tip number 22. So now I'm going to show you how to remove duplicates. So here we can see these are the few products that we sell, and I'd like to get a list without any duplicates. So very simple, we can copy this data, paste it into a brand new area, and go to data, remove duplicates. Simply click OK, and you can see the duplicates are gone. 3 duplicates were found and removed. We only sell 3 different products. So this is a fast, quick and dirty method of removing the duplicates. Tip number 22. Next, tip number 23 is how we can get a drop-down list, because sometimes people misspell and they might type diary, and if you have this kind of data discrepancy, using a SUMIF or a COUNTIF will give you problems. So rather than people type the product, what I want is that the product name should actually come from this unique list of products. So very simple, we can go to data, data validation, and instead of allowing any value, we say allow from a list, and the source of the list is these 3 values. That's it. Now onwards, whenever you come to this cell, if you type diary, enter, you cannot leave the cell. This value doesn't match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. Retry. So I can escape it and choose diaries. I can choose calendar, and this is a simple way of getting drop down without typing. So it reduces typing effort, it reduces spelling mistakes, and it makes it much easier to get consistent, unique data that is matching exactly as per your list. So this was a simple tip and trick on using drop-down lists. Tip number 24 is that you can also use Excel for free on the web. So in case you are traveling or you don't have your own computer and you need to use Excel, all you need to do is to go to the internet, go on to office.com, and as you can see, this will load office.com, and you can sign up for the free version of Office. So all you need to do is to click on this, sign up for a free Microsoft account if you don't have one, and if you have one, then you simply go in, log in, and let me show you quickly. I'll open a new window. I am logged in, therefore I can choose Excel, I can create a blank file, and I can use all the tabs that are available in the desktop version of Excel. So I can insert a pivot table, a table, can draw, can do page layout, home, all the buttons, all the menus are there, almost identical and free to use. So you can also use it on your mobile, you can also use it on Android or your iOS, Apple devices by downloading office.com from the app store or the app library, and you can also use that. Another great benefit is you can collaborate. So my final tip number 25 is whenever you want to work with others, you can simply click on the share button, and all you need to do is to save the file in your OneDrive. If you save the file in OneDrive, you can share it with your colleagues, with anybody who has a Hotmail Microsoft account or is on the Microsoft Windows account. So you can share it and you can collaborate with anyone. So make sure you use these simple tips and tricks. I have been using these 25 tips, and in fact I have so many tips and tricks, but these are the ones that I use the most. I am all the time using it, and I hope you will also get lots of benefit by using them. Remember, watch the video one more time step by step and download the exercise file so that you can follow along with me. This time do it slightly more slowly, and so that you can master the technique, and once you internalize it, you will be able to find the benefit, and I'm sure your productivity, your accuracy, and your speed will go up. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you. If you liked it, if you picked up something new, please like our channel. Write it in the comments. What exactly did you like? Which new technique did you find here? And if I missed out anything, if you have any other technique that you love, please do write it in the comments as well. Plus, if you'd like me to showcase some other feature of Excel in the future videos, you can also write it in the comments. I always read all my comments, and these comments are the ones that give me the ideas to create new and future videos. So I hope to receive your comments. Do like it, subscribe to our channel, and hope to see you again soon. That's it, guys. Be awesome with Excel. All the best.